Canadian football season is just around the corner, but before training camp gets started, fans have a chance to put together their own team. Matt Brown is a founder of a new fantasy football website, and he joins me now in studio to tell us more. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Michelle.
So what did you tell us about developing this website? Why did you want to be involved in this?
Well, actually, I would like to tell you that we were business people that came about it, in that type of fashion. But in fact, our state is a little more unique in that we're just really big football fans. And in the United States, as many people know, there's something called the Fantasy Football League that you can participate in with the NFL Football League, and there's nothing for CFL fans. So we decided we wanted to create something, I guess, in a selfish way for ourselves and pass that on to other Canadians.
So will this site be like the fantasy football for the NFL? How similar will it be?
Well, it's the same concept, but because the CFL has fewer teams, we only have 8 teams, so we had to design the game specifically for the Canadian game. And so it's very similar in that you manage your own team, you create your own team. However, we've modified it so that it'll actually work for Canada's game.
Now, how does fantasy football work? For those who have maybe heard it but haven't been involved or don't really know much about it,
sure.
Just lay it out for us.
Well, it's a whole lot of fun. Basically, what you do is you get together with some friends or colleagues, and you have a list of players, and you can select these players as though you're a general manager and you're creating your own team. And so what happens is, generally, you create a league, and these players are entered onto your team roster. So, for instance, for Saskatchewan, you might select some players from the Saskatchewan team. You may select some players from Calgary's team. And so you'll have all these different players on your roster. And each week when they actually play real games, you collect points based on their performance. So you can compete. For instance, Michelle, if you and I had a team, you might have your team going up against my team, and whoever scores the most points that week wins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, can you have multiple players at all? Like, so if another team has players that are, can one player appear on more than one team?
No, and that's the beauty about this is there are CFL drafts out there where you kind of almost need to have more, players selected more than once. We've designed this so that, for instance, if you owned a certain player, I couldn't have that player. And the only way I can get that player is if I try and trade you, one of my players. And so it's really exciting that way in that there's nothing out there like this at all, really, for Canadian football fans. So,
what kind of response have you had to this idea so far?
So far, it's been fantastic. We've kind of got, interestingly enough, there were people inquiring about it on all sorts of football forums across Canada. So we noticed that there were some postings. Hey, is there a CFL fantasy league that anybody knows about, or how can I start my own? And there are even guys and girls that do their fantasy leagues on spreadsheets, which is really difficult. Like, it's almost impossible. So we posted on there and said, hey, like, we're doing this. We're a bunch of fellows from Saskatchewan, and look, we want to do this, and we're working really hard at it, and people are extremely excited. So lots of commitment from people, and yesterday was the first day that our landing site was up, and we had, I believe, well over 100 hits per hour. Mm-hmm. So wow. It's really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what about your relationship with the CFL? What does the CFL think about this?
Well, that's the interesting thing. Our research so far, based on some of the things that have happened in the United States, show that we don't need to necessarily establish an affiliation with them. Now, that being said, and I'm really adamant about this, one of the most important things about what we're doing is that it is a huge thing for the league. This league the CFL is thriving right now, and if you can imagine, let's say you have players on your fantasy team that are playing, 4 games, or there's 4 games a week, and you have players in each of those games. Well, you might watch, instead of just watching the Rough Riders, you might watch all 4 games. So we actually see it as a huge benefit to the league, and a huge benefit to CFL ratings in terms of television. And in fact, it would be really nice to establish a positive relationship with both the CFL and the CFL Players Association. Mm-hmm. That would be fantastic. Yeah.
So, but right now, no affiliation.
Nothing. So we basically have to be careful. I mean, we can't use logos, and we're not going to use, for instance, team names. Like I'm a Rough Rider fan. We're not going to use the word Rough Rider. We're going to use Saskatchewan. And so that's basically where it stands right now. It's in fairly early stages. So we're working really hard in a bunch of different ways to get this thing up and to build relationships. We hope that they'll embrace us.
How much time does it take to put this together and to be involved?
Well, it's the partners in the group. There's two friends of mine, and then my two brothers, and so there's 5 of us, and it's really neat because everybody is a huge asset to the group, and everybody has specific skills that we need to get this thing going. But the time commitment is tremendous. There's just around 70 games a year, and so if we're going to do live statistics, we'll be watching a lot of football, over 300 hours, I imagine.
Yeah, and your families are okay with that?
My wife's been fantastic so far, and they've been really supportive. So we're really, really happy.
All right. And when will the website be up and running?
The website, it's www.fantaseh, so FANTASEH, to give it a little Canadian spin, will be up on May 1st.
May 1st?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Matt, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
That's Matt Brown. He's one of the founders of the new website, Fantaseh.ca. It gives Canadian football fans the chance to play general manager. The new website should be up and running, as he said, by May 1st. And you can find a link as well on our website to his website. Just go to CBC.ca/afternoon edition Sask. We'll put up a link.